Well, hello there.
Welcome to the Global WarWatch Network, where we break down the critical security issues you need to know about. Hey, before we jump in, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss an update from us.
So picture this, a weapon that can paralyze an entire nation without a single bang. One missile flies, and just moments later, the lights go out. Communications fail. A country's power to even defend itself is just gone. Now, this isn't some sci-fi movie plot. This is the reality of a new kind of warfare. What we're really talking about here is a total game changer in military strategy. This is the dawn of what's called non-kinetic warfare. The main goal isn't to blow up armies anymore. It's to disable the very systems that a modern country needs to function. And China's new blackout bomb? Well, it's a perfect and honestly, a pretty startling example of this.
So, what is this weapon really? To get a handle on its strategic impact, we've got to look at the hardware first. So let's unpack the tech behind this grid-killing missile.
Okay, so let's look at these numbers, because they really tell a story. A 490-kilogram warhead, that's a pretty hefty package. But the range, that's the key. At 290 kilometers, you can strike critical targets from way over the horizon, a very safe distance. And that one hit can affect 10,000 square meters. That's about 2.5 acres, instantly shutting down all the power.
And this right here, this is how it covers so much ground. See, a single missile doesn't just hit one spot. It's packed with 90 separate submunitions. You got to think of it less like a rifle bullet and more like a giant shotgun blast, designed to blanket a huge area for maximum chaos.
So the big question is, how do 90 little canisters flip the off switch for an entire region? Well, it's a pretty clever 5-step sequence designed for one thing and one thing only, to wreck a power grid. Let's walk through it.
Okay, so first, the missile launches from a truck. As it gets over the target area, it pops open and releases those 90 canisters. Now here's the really slick part. They're designed to bounce and then explode in midair. This scatters a superfine cloud of these conductive carbon filaments. They're like these tiny web-like strands that just drift down, draping over high-voltage power lines and transformers, causing these huge, cascading short circuits that overload and kill the grid. So simple, but absolutely devastating. We've covered the what and the how, but the most important question is why? Why even build a weapon like this? And the answer gets you right to the heart of a military strategy they call the doctrine of paralysis. It's all about winning a war before it really even starts.
The whole idea is rooted in non-kinetic warfare. It's a strategic pivot away from destroying enemy tanks and planes and towards shutting down the systems they depend on. You're not fighting the army, you see. You're turning off the entire nation that supports it.
The key objective here is to achieve strategic paralysis. The goal is to cripple an enemy's C4ISR network. That's their command, control, communications, computers, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. It is literally the digital nervous system of any modern military. By hitting the power grid, you completely bypass hardened missile silos and air bases and go right for that softer civilian infrastructure. This lets you conduct what they call hybrid operations, achieving military objectives without the massive casualties that would kick off a full-blown war.
And look, this isn't just speculation. All the way back in 2017, Chen Chunji, an editor at a semi-official military publication, spelled it out. The focus is on disabling systems to win, without triggering that massive escalation. This weapon we're seeing today is the physical manifestation of that exact doctrine.
All right, let's pull back and look at the geopolitical chessboard. Because while this particular Chinese weapon feels very new, the concept itself is actually battle-tested. China is not the first one to bring this kind of weapon to the party.
The US military actually used its own version, the BLU-114/B Graphite bomb, in operations in both Iraq and Serbia. It works on the exact same principle. The fact that this technology is already proven to be incredibly effective is precisely why China's development of a modern version is such a big deal. They're investing in something they know works.
And just how effective is it? Well, in those past conflicts, U.S. strikes knocked out as much as 85% of the national grid capacity. 85%. Let that sink in. That is a strategic, war-altering impact. It cripples a country's ability to command its forces right from the very beginning.
So the key takeaway here is pretty clear. Unveiling this weapon isn't just a tech demo for a parade. No, it's a very deliberate signal that the People's Liberation Army's doctrine of strategic paralysis isn't just a theory on a whiteboard anymore. It's a mature, field-ready capability. Which really leaves us with one final big question. In an age that's completely defined by digital networks and electricity, have we actually reached the point where the most powerful weapon isn't one that explodes, but one that just flips the power switch to off?
Thanks so much for watching this explainer. If you found this valuable, please help us grow the channel by hitting that like button, sharing this with someone who'd be interested, and of course subscribing to the Global WarWatch Network. But the conversation doesn't end here. We want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this kind of technology? Let us know in the comments section below and come join the conversation on our social media channels. All the links for that are in the description. We'll see you on the next update.